Real-life stories narrated from the experiences of R2K. Veil of Darkness. The Guru wasn't finished with his revelations, yet he seemed lost in thought, contemplating the darkness surrounding my father. Fear was written on my mother's face, and I felt it tightening around me as well. But my father remained composed, his expression skeptical. I knew he wasn't convinced. The silence in the room grew oppressive as the Guru, without saying a word, pulled out old, worn books and began sifting through them. He shuffled the shelves in his hand absent-mindedly, the rhythmic clatter the only sound breaking the tension. Finally, my father spoke, his voice cutting through the stillness. "No offense, Guruji, but I find it hard to believe what you're saying. Black magic? It's not real. If it were, wouldn't everyone be using it to get ahead in life?" My mother turned to him, her voice barely a whisper. "What do you mean?" My father looked at her and then to the Guruji. "I mean, if black magic were real, wouldn't the whole world be doing it?" The Guru lifted his eyes from the books, his gaze sharp. "Many don't pursue such dark practices, not because they can't, but because they are ignorant. But few do it, ignorant of the costs." His voice grew grave. "The consequences of black magic are far-reaching. It leaves its mark not just on the victim, but also on those who perform it. The curse can linger through generations, staining not only the soul, but also the house they dwell in." The words sank into the room like lead. My father, though outwardly calm, was listening more closely now. "What kind of mark?" he asked, the skepticism in his voice faltering. The Guru exhaled deeply, as if preparing to unravel a great truth. "Those who use such foul magic are forced to live in the company of filth. Infestations of cockroaches, rats, and also bats. Their sleep is troubled. Their homes reek of darkness because their souls have touched something they shouldn't have. The victims experience similar things. When the unnatural enters your life, it brings chaos in its wake." There was a chilling truth to his words. I could see it in the way my father's expression hardened. He took the Guru seriously now. "I haven't slept well in months," my father admitted. "And yes, we've noticed an increase in cockroaches around the house." The Guru nodded as if he'd known this all along. "These things happen without warning. The signs are subtle but unmistakable. Something is invading your lives." My father glanced at my mother before adding, "I've been having strange dreams too. And sometimes I feel like there's someone watching me." The Guru's eyes narrowed, his voice lowering. "That's the presence of something unnatural. When a being from that realm wishes to harm you, it makes its presence felt." He stood up suddenly, pacing the room, lost in thought. "For this black magic to affect you so deeply, someone must have slipped something into your food or drink, perhaps a long time ago. This was planned for a long time. I can see traces of the same darkness in your son." My mother's face paled, her eyes wide with worry. "Is my son in danger?" she asked, her voice trembling. The Guru turned to her. "Your child's life isn't at risk, but he will carry some of this darkness with him. It won't define him, but he'll have to contend with its effects in the years to come. But it has affected your husband severely. I think there is a link, something that allows them to keep this connection to your husband." "What do you mean by a link?" I asked, breaking the uneasy silence. The Guru looked at me, his gaze piercing. "A link is what allows this dark energy to continue its work. Something, or someone, is still connecting this magic to your father. It might be happening while he sleeps, when he's most vulnerable." "How can you be sure?" I pressed. "I see it in the way the energy still clings to him," the Guru explained, his tone firm. "This link hasn't been broken. Even if it's your uncle, and you've severed ties with him, there must still be something binding his curse to your father." My mother's face darkened. "So, it is his brother," she said, her voice filled with quiet anger. The Guru nodded. My father looked shocked, his earlier doubt erased. "But how can you be certain?" he asked. "You said you saw darkness around him too." The Guru returned to his seat and leaned forward. "Yes, but it's a different kind of darkness. I've seen it before, on those who practice black magic. It's like a stain on their soul." The realization hit me like a blow. My uncle, was he truly so desperate for our land that he'd stoop to this? Would he really harm his own brother for a piece of property? But then, another thought surfaced. The treasure. Could that be it? The treasure must be worth more than we thought, valuable enough to drive my uncle to such extremes. As I wrestled with these thoughts, the Guru spoke again. There's something else troubling me, he said, his voice distant, as if speaking from another place. It's not just the black magic. There's another darkness surrounding this house and your family. I saw it in your brother, in you, and even in your son. My father frowned, confused. Another darkness? Besides the black magic? The Guru shook his head. I don't know. It might be a residue left behind by the black magic your brother used, or it could be something else. This seems powerful too. I've never encountered anything like this before. For the first time, I saw real fear flicker in my father's eyes. He was silent for a long time, thinking. Finally, he spoke. Can you help us? The Guru hesitated, then nodded. I can try, but this is unlike anything I've dealt with before. I do not want to give any false hopes. If you're willing to proceed, we can arrange a time. My parents both nodded in agreement. If this was as dangerous as it seemed, they needed the Guru's help. But the Guru explained he had to leave tomorrow. He offered to stay in contact and arrange a date for a proper ritual, though in the meantime he would perform a smaller one to provide us with some protection. As the Guru began chanting and muttering ancient mantras under his breath, I couldn't shake my thoughts about the treasure. As the Guru worked his magic, I was already imagining the day when I would make my uncle pay, not through curses but by uncovering the very thing he sought to steal.